Summer movie season is in full swing in China, and box office revenue is coming in strong. By the end of July, China's box office revenue hit almost $1.7 billion. That's according to a trusted box office tracker, Data. Films like Lost in the Stars, Never Say Never, and the animated film 3,000 Miles of Chang'an topped the movie chart. Meanwhile, the highly anticipated Barbie remains in 5th place for its second weekend in Chinese theatres. It's grossed $25.5 million there so far. In contrast, the film Creation of the Gods topped the box office for its second week, raking in more than $57 million overall. Now, for a deep dive into China's movie industry, I'm joined now by Stanley Rosen. He's a professor of political science and international relations at USC with a focus on Chinese politics and society. Great to have you on the program, Stanley. Now, talk to us about the best performers in the film industry so far this summer.
Well, in China, you've already mentioned them. Creation of the Gods, which is really a 2-year project by Wu Shan. This is just the beginning. That's done very well. Most recently, you had Never Say Never. You had the animated film, 3,000 Miles of Chang'an. You've had a number of films that have done well. Not the Hollywood imports, but Chinese domestic films have done quite well.
So what do you make of Barbie's performance in China? Does it come at a surprise, especially given perhaps the local film industry might be something that Chinese more naturally turn to?
Well, it's not really a surprise because Barbie doesn't have the cachet and the history in the same way that Star Wars did not in China. I think it's significant in 2 ways, though. The second weekend did much better than normally would be the case. I think it dropped maybe 11.3%, something very low compared to what usually happens because word of mouth has been good. And the second aspect that's important for Barbie is that it's gotten people to talk about issues which have been kind of taboo, which is gender-related issues, patriarchy issues, and issues of feminism. If you look at just sheer numbers, China makes up maybe 3.2% of the entire box office of Barbie, counting North America and the rest of the world, and less than 6% of the international box office of Barbie outside North America. So numbers-wise, it's not doing well. But in terms of getting people interested in talking, it has had a big impact. You know, I talked to some of my friends in Hong Kong who went to see it, mainly because their girlfriends or wives dragged them to see it. And they said we were seeing men leave the theater because it became very uncomfortable with all the talk and the attacks on patriarchy. So I think it's more significant than just the box office.
And what about this more immersive experience at the cinema? Something that Barbie has certainly ignited in a lot of people here in the US is to get dressed up and wear pink and really be a part of the experience. Is that something the Chinese have taken hold of, either, if not with Barbie, perhaps with other films?
Well, I think you might see that more with the kind of cosplay with Japanese films where it kind of originated, with anime, for example. But again, because Barbie doesn't have that history in China, it's, I would think, less likely. Now, of course, I haven't been in China to see who's actually going and what they're wearing, but I've read articles about it, and they suggest that it certainly has had the impact in terms of people talking, even if they're not. And I think if you do wear certain kinds of things, you kind of stand out. And it's not necessarily a good thing on a sensitive topic like this to stand out so much by being dressed as Barbie.
Has the sector, in terms of film productions as well as movie theatres, recovered then from COVID shutdowns, considering, you know, these box office successes?
Oh yeah, they've done very well. In fact, June was pretty much on track to be similar to 2019 pre-COVID. I think it was down maybe 0.8%. And the summer is down only about, I think, maybe 6% from 2019. So what I think has happened, among other things, of course, is that after lockdowns, severe lockdowns, places like Shanghai particularly, people realize that you can't take for granted that you can go to a restaurant or go to a movie theater whenever you want. And that pent-up desire is basically coming back. You never know what the future brings. So this is something where people can go out and celebrate, meet their friends, and so on and so forth. So definitely, it's been very successful in terms of consumer behavior going to theaters.
All right, Stanley Rosen, really appreciate your time. Professor of Political Science and International Relations at USC.
My pleasure.